about to get this thing started. Here we go.
No, I did a.
Here we go. Here we go. What is going on, Facebook? Welcome to the Genesis Block, Black Bitcoin Billionaires this morning. Yeah, it is so awesome to have you guys here this morning and have you all come and join us for this amazing, amazing Monday morning. We've had a lot of stuff happen in the last week and a whole lot of stuff that happened last night. So, you know, we're going to give my man Bitcoin Zay a chance to get over here from his Gentleman of Crypto show. But I'm glad to have all of these people on stage with me today. I think we're going to have an amazing, amazing show. So welcome, 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 welcome. Make sure you hit that share. Make sure you follow. Make sure you do everything you possibly can to stay tuned to us over here at the Genesis Block and the Black Bitcoin Billionaires. So how's everybody doing here on the Black Bitcoin Billionaires this morning while we wait for my man Zay?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm warm again. I'm dry. We got water again. Texas is getting back, so I feel blessed.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Let's talk about that real quick, CJ. So what happened down there in Texas, man? Is it just that y'all can't deal with ice and snow? What's going on?
I mean, yeah. So, like, I guess the energy companies, they hadn't built their pipes and all their infrastructure for 10-degree weather. So even though 10 degrees isn't really that bad to other states, for our infrastructure wasn't built for it. So the energy went out, and then the water pipes burst. And so it was crazy. We had 130 people or 130 car accident in Fort Worth, and it's been really, really crazy. But the weather's back to normal, and they took away the boil water notice that we all had.
Oh, that's what's up, man. Yeah, and I seen that my man Zay done snuck in the building, him and King. What's going on, Zay, man? You ready to do your news section of this whole good thing, man?
Oh, yeah. What's going on, Lamar? Hello to everybody. Good morning to you. Glad for you to be here. Yeah, glad for you all to be here on the Genesis Block. I'm Isaiah from the Gentleman of Crypto. I'll let King introduce himself as well.
Oh, hey, I'm King from Gentleman of Crypto. I was sitting back around listening to you. Go ahead.
No problem. So today, some of the stories we talked about. First, we did discuss the price. We saw that Bitcoin had a $10,000 candle down to about 48,000. So for anybody who is wondering who is buying Bitcoin right now, it's definitely institutions. That dip happened in less than an hour and went right back up above 50, and we're sitting now at 53,000. Another one of our stories today we discussed was the fact that Elon Musk made more money from investing in Bitcoin than his company did from selling cars. So that's pretty interesting that one of the business models that may come about is that if your business is not succeeding, just put it in Bitcoin and you can actually outperform what you've been doing before. So we discussed that with Elon Musk. I want King to jump in here because I want him to tell everybody about his problems with Changely. We actually discussed Changely as sort of like fractional reserve banking and how we're trying to get away from that.
Yeah, so over this, thanks Isaiah and Lamar for having me as well. I appreciate it. And Naja and everyone as well. So this over the weekend, of course, Raven Coin pumped to some astronomical heights for those who saw it. I don't know what the percentage was on that. And I had been in it for some time because of a person I saw on Facebook, Joshua Coleman. I got to give him a shout out. So long story short, I was like, hey, let's take some profit, get on out of here. Tried to go to Changely, which has previously worked before. But throughout the day, you weren't allowed to exchange. So I was like, okay, I'm assuming the network is down everywhere, which is fine. I understand that it's being clogged. It's not used to scaling at this rate. So that's normal. So I tried it again, as the pump was starting to wear off. I tried to sell again. Changely accepted my order, took my Raven coin. And again, it wasn't a crazy amount or anything. I mean, it probably was more than average, but it wasn't a crazy amount. But they took the Raven coin and they just held the transaction for like 2 hours or so. And usually I'll give them about an hour, again, hour and a half, the network's clogged, which I understand. After like two hours and some change, maybe 3 hours, I finally looked and it said transaction failed. So I'm just like, wait, transaction failed? Well, I don't have my Raven coin anymore, nor do I have the Bitcoin for it. So like, what's going on? So I emailed their support or whatever, text their support in that. They actually did get back pretty quickly in that. But they basically was just like, yeah, the network was down. They're just giving me a lot of excuses. I'm like, all right, well, like, send me something. What's going on? They was like, well, we can send you your Raven coin in 2 to 4 days. And I'm like, wait, 2 to 4 days? Like, man, I'm in crypto. Like, what are you talking about? I want something in 30 minutes, or we have a problem. Like, what's going on? So they was like, well, we can send you your Bitcoin now. I was like, well, all right, cool. Send me the Bitcoin, whatever. So they send me the Bitcoin, or they say they're going to send me the Bitcoin. 4 more hours go by, nothing happens. So I reach back out to them. And then they're like, oh, well, the network was down or whatever. I'm like, look, just send me, send me whatever. They go back to, well, we can see the Raven coin in 2 to 4 days. And I brought up the point. I was like, you know what? I thought this was a person we can trust in this space, but I was like, trust me, we will be talking about you next week, like as far as media purposes. And then they was like, oh, we can send you a Raven coin right now. Like literally the next message. I have all this screenshot as well. The next message is like, we can send you a Raven coin right now. So I'm just like, oh, okay, we playing this game. So I was like, just send me the Bitcoin. So they finally sent me the Bitcoin, whatever. But this literally took about 8 hours on Saturday. It took 8 hours out of my day to handle this. And I have all the transcripts. I basically just shortened the process, but we played this cat and mouse game. I have all the transcripts, and I am going to be posting them this week on our show. Actually, I'll probably save it for the talk show, Zay, but I'm definitely posting those transcripts to show everybody, like, this just happened to me. Like, what do you think is going to happen to you and your amount that you have? Like, my amount was a decent amount, like, apparently, for me to, you know, to want to have this conversation for 8 hours, and it was, but it also wasn't the end of the world. But for people who are just normal out there, who might just have a few $100 or just a couple thousand, like, they don't care. And that is what it looks to be centralized. And I even brought up to them in the message, I was like, this is, I said something like, this is a shame. Like, you just tweeted about decentralization on the 16th, which they did. I'm like, you over here tweeting about these principles, these fundamental principles, but you're operating as a centralized fractional reserve exchange, whatever. So it's crazy. I mean, they had the power. They would have kept the money. It's like literally no recourse. It was nothing I could do about it.
Oh yeah. A great lesson in no keys, no cheese, because these centralized exchanges definitely do their thing. But yeah, I wanted King to share that story, just so anybody who's listening, if you're having the same issues, trust me, it's going to get even crazier as the price goes up. And those are our news stories today on the Gentleman of Crypto. Make sure you watch us Sundays at 6 p.m. on Talk Shop Live, where we answer questions, do market analysis, have exclusive interviews, etc. So thank you all for watching.
Yeah, thank you, Zay. Thank you, King Bless, man. So with that said, I think we have a couple of really good conversation starters today that we want to have everybody join in on. And I think the first one is definitely centralized entities and how they affect us in this space. You just heard the whole Changeley situation with my man King Bless, and if you notice, everybody doesn't necessarily have the same power that he has as far as having a successful show on YouTube. So, I mean, he used that, of course, to his advantage, but all of us don't have that. So what do you guys think about centralized exchanges, centralized companies, even decentralized financing operations? Like, do you think that those will change, or do you think that's something that we're just gonna have to live with for a while until we figure out the technology to make it happen more effectively elsewhere?
Yeah, I think we'll continue to see centralized exchanges and centralized companies be formed. What I'm starting to see now, though, is a large push for decentralization from people who realize most of these companies may or may not have your best interest at heart. Some are just acting as fractional bank crypto reserves right now. So I think it'll continue, but I think we're starting to build a lot of decentralized applications or exchanges where people can use. Unfortunately, it's not here yet. So we got some time.
Like, I agree with Zay. A lot of times I think centralized exchanges will start showing people why, Bitcoin's power is more beyond the price. Even like what the things that happened with Robinhood, right? For the people who might have heard about Bitcoin, but never bought Bitcoin and never thought decentralization was important, but then they got caught up into the Robinhood situation. I think the more and more like those type of situations happen, and how King shared his story, I think the decentralization aspect of Bitcoin will start showing its power, and centralization will be here because you will have people that buy into the narrative of, oh, well, Bitcoin is too volatile or too dangerous for you to be in 100% control of yourself. But I do feel that there's going to come a time where people just slowly and surely start gravitating away. It's like when you first come in, you're kind of centralized, and then you start noticing the BS that's around all centralization, not just money, and you slowly understand why the orange pill is what it is.
Yeah, I think the crazy part is, right, is that because of regulation, we have to still keep dealing with these types of systems. I think that's really what goes on. Because from a technical standpoint, we talk about this all the time. From a technical standpoint, it's very easy to do some of these transactions. It's just a problem when you start going peer to peer because they want to control how the transactions happen. And I think that's the thing that we have to start getting over is the legalities behind us just working peer to peer. Why do we have to go through corporations, right? Like let's talk about that. And you know what? I'm gonna try to get my man Ray from Paxful on here one day. He said he would definitely come through, and I was hoping he came today. But if he didn't get a chance, that's fine. But I want to interview him because he's doing huge things around the world by creating peer-to-peer networks for these assets. So you won't have to go through something like a Changely to exchange your Raven coin for Bitcoin. You know, what do you guys? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what, and that was the worst part, which is why I was shouting out Josh today, Coleman, because he's been talking about Ravencoin for the last couple of years. But as soon as that happened, I was like, you know what, I should have reached out to him first and asked him if he knew anyone who wanted to either buy or sell some. That's what it was made for. So I was like, you know, that was my mistake in that process too. But it was something I didn't even think about. I went right. My mind was going straight back to the centralized way of things. It's like, no, you already know people. He responded to you as soon as I mentioned it, you know, whatever, and thanked him for the pump. It was like, you should just ask him for the same thing. So even myself, it was like, this is what the networks are made for, people. We don't have to go to these big corporations anymore. There are people in the space who do have the liquidity to either buy and sell the way you want. So it's just something even myself I have to keep in mind.
A lot of times there's more liquidity on the streets, so to speak, right? Because some of these, some of these
always people, liquidity on the streets, brother.
Right, always liquidity on the streets, right? There's people who own more coins than these exchanges even have because they got in earlier. See, you got to think the exchange was in response to people owning coins. You get what I'm saying? People made exchanges because there's like people have coins, but now you're talking about people who are on the street that have tons of coins. So yeah, man, this is this has been a crazy, like, the way everything's laying out and laying itself out has been really crazy to me because most other things in this country they are allowed to take off from a technological standpoint, but Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, golly, they be trying to put the hemp down on it.
Yeah, and I think from a tax compliance perspective, one of the reasons why they're against peer-to-peer is because how do you trace what all those transactions are? As we know, if you spend cryptocurrency, it is considered a taxable event. But how do we know that a good or service was exchanged when you send it to a wallet versus it being a gift? So I know for sure the IRS is trying to crack down on a lot of that peer-to-peer stuff, or at least be able to trace it because they want to be able to track it. So they do have people who are in place like Don Fort, who are actively trying to destroy that aspect of peer-to-peer transactions. I'm all for it. But from a tax perspective, it would kind of be nice if all of the exchanges or all the wallets had a simplistic way to trace all the transactions, if they are going to trace the transactions themselves, because as of right now, a lot of the exchanges, they provide different types of transaction formats, and it creates lots of headaches. So I know things are in place right now. The IRS is definitely watching.
Hey, did you say you're against peer-to-peer?
No, I am for peer-to-peer. However, the IRS is against it. Me being a CPA, I act in my client's best interests. However, I have to deal with the IRS on a consistent basis, and they don't like peer-to-peer because they don't know what type of transaction that exchange of money was for. They don't know if it was a good or a service type of transaction or if it was a gift. So they don't like that. That's why they're trying to put all of these regulations in place so that they can track it all.
I got a real quick question. This might be off a little bit. Is the IRS truly separate from the United States government?
I mean, they're separate, but if you don't pay your taxes, they can still legally send a field agent to your house. So that's
I mean, I feel you on that part, but it's just like, you know, like, yo, how, I forgot who, it was this guy in Cafe Bitcoin, and he was really talking about, he was a former regulator. I'm trying to ping him if I can. his name was Jason, but he was talking about just how these are like separate entities from the government, like really from some part from the government, and it's just odd how like damn the United States really. I don't know. I can't put it all together right now. I gotta come back on it. I ain't even gonna hold y'all up on that.
Hey, I feel what you're saying.
Yeah,
It is
I mean,
absolutely a separate entity. In fact, if you do your research, the IRS is supposed to be actually like a governing. What they do is just govern, and they're built to collect the taxes and regulate that part. But they are a private entity.
correct.
Hey, look, see one thing you gotta understand. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I'm gonna just like speak on the topic, right? So like that's what makes it crazy because like if I know somebody in Tokyo or anywhere and I want to make some type of trade or some type of barter or some type of anything with them, I can essentially do that without going through any type of centralized entity or whatever the case may be. So that's where it gets mixed up into the gifts and it gets mixed up into the service and the business because you're able to connect with any person if it's a peer or any entity across the world and have a universal currency that can be traded, and you don't even have to physically ever be in this the other location.
Correct. So it's great for us, but it's horrible for centralized governments. That's why they're putting all these things in place, and that's why they're trying to make sure the whole world is trying to link together. Don Fort, who's ahead of a lot of this stuff, he's linked up with like a Canada, the USA, the UK, Australia, and they're all forming together coalitions to where if people are offloading money overseas, they communicate with each other to address that exact issue. So they are actively trying to figure out this thing called decentralization, but the technology is not there yet. However, for the first time ever on the 1040, the first page, they have a box that says, have you bought, sold, transacted, or acquired any virtual currency? Virtual currency meaning cryptocurrency. And if you hit no, then that is automatic fraud once they figure out how to track all of this stuff. So they can come back 30, 40 years from now and say you committed fraud and then put interest and penalties on everything that you did. Then you could be left saying that they're not a government entity, but that's between you, their lawyers, and all of that stuff.
I just want to know, who do we pay and how do we pay the people so that can box can no longer be there in the future? It's like, who's making these rules is what I'm trying to figure out. Like, when did the box appear? Like, when did the box appear?
It first,
you get what I'm saying? Like, and then it's just like, okay, well, this is blind. I mean, I get what you're saying too, especially in your client's best interest, but this is just like, I mean, little by little, this is encroachment.
And like I always say, right? What happens is with freedom is that what they do is they'll slowly enter things in that bind you, I should say. They'll slowly keep putting things in that you're not even noticing that bind you and take away your freedom slowly but surely, like a small box on the front of a tax form. And then once you agree to that, you click that small box, then they'll add another box the next year. And then the next thing you know, they'll start putting in ways for you to for you to have to tell who you're sending your coins to, right, out of these exchanges, like something that they've already presented. And slowly but surely, the freedom that is in the ability for us to transact these cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin in particular, what's going to happen is that they're going to have so much information that you've basically walked yourself back into the system. And that's what I see coming. Matter of fact, let's start talking about those types of things right now and what you all see from a custody standpoint. Because last week, we talked about BNY Mellon, but do you all see other banks coming into the fold? We kind of discussed that in our room sometimes, but I don't know how much we've discussed that here on the Genesis block. Do you see other banks coming into the fold and trying to get into the custody game so they can get into the trading game? How many of y'all see that coming?
I mean, I can see that coming. I also heard some wild shit yesterday talking about how like somebody's bringing up that Kraken, or these companies like Coinbase or Kraken exchanges could end up becoming so powerful that they buy other countries. I mean, other little like banks or whatnot. But I can definitely see, banks trying to. Everybody's trying to get a piece of that pie. Everybody's trying to get a piece of that pie. So them coming into this industry, knowing that number one, they're sitting on the deadest currency known to man. So of course, it's a play that I can see them make, and I think that's where the whole education around what decentralization is and how to really, be decentralized in this space starts, taking starts forming as well. Because right by now, it's all about how to use Bitcoin, what's the price doing. But the longer people hear, becoming Bitcoin savvy starts to show why it's important. But yeah, to answer your question, I see a lot of banks coming in because they don't have what's valuable anymore.
I was just gonna say that one of the obviously one of the challenges for banks involved is exactly like how do they, how they've been sort of perceiving Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies over the last few years. This whole cyberpunks thing, but I think yesterday there was like a cyberpunks NFT that traded for over $1 million, and on the secondary market, and there's no way that anyone sees value in buying something for over $1 million. So it's clearly money, and that that's a problem for us in general because it's once people start realizing that like art in general is for, I mean, I think people know that when you collect art, a lot of people do with NFTs, it makes it that much easier to do it. So that just makes it harder for Bitcoin in general and crypto in general, in this kind of shit.
Facts. I think his system is his connection kind of went bad, but I think what he was trying to say is that when you start having these huge purchases outside of our normal systems, then that brings more attention to how powerful these systems are and how you don't need all of these individuals and custodians and all of this stuff in the middle to actually transact value. I think that's Go ahead, Rahul.
That's sorry if I cut out. No, I was basically saying that there's peer-to-peer transactions that are happening around art now, right? And those technically don't require KYC because you're effectively trading art on these exchanges. But I think if you look at the secondary market and what's happening, yesterday there was a trade for a cyberpunk for like $1.5 million, and there's no way in hell that anyone in their right mind would think that was worth $1.5 million. So it has to be some sort of money laundering, and that brings negative attention to the space. So it just makes it harder for banks. And the other thing is, and I just wanted to throw this out there, Lamar, I don't know how nervous are you, and maybe this is just me, but like there's people around me that have been in Bitcoin for a long time, and myself. Anytime there's a firmware update on my hardware wallet, I freak out. Like I don't even want to touch it. What about
I second that. I second that. I second that. But another assumption here that you have to consider with the NFTs, just because I've seen Logan Paul start talking about it, like Andreessen Horowitz leads the rounds right now with the NFT platforms, so don't forget that. You got to consider that a lot of these trades are bullshit, right? They're just to get articles written, and it's just marketing. It's just I would not be shocked if it's just Andreessen Horowitz associate to another associate just to get us talking about it, because Logan Paul is not talking about NFTs on Clubhouse because he loves them. He's getting paid. He has a large influence. Mark Cuban just talked about NFTs and how he's bullish on Ethereum. It's going to take over Bitcoin. That's because he has a personal interest in it, right? So don't forget about that fact as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I can't really, and to be honest, like I want to take the counter argument to the whole we know it has to be money laundering, just because I mean some of these people have a lot of Ethereum, or they have a lot of whatever coin that they're buying it in, and they have nothing else to do with it. Right? It's just like those that are rich in fiat. People that are rich in fiat currency will pay $2 million for a piece of artwork that they put in a vault and just put in a vault somewhere, right? If they can do that in the fiat world, what makes us think that people who are extremely rich in the cryptocurrency space won't do the same thing? It doesn't necessarily have to be for nefarious issues, right? It could just literally be, I have $1 million worth of Ethereum that I just want to buy something with. And they also know, on the flip side with what Daniel was saying, they also know that them doing that is going to bring more attention to the coin that they own, right? Which then pushes the value and the price up of it. So I think that's the thing. I think we have to realize we're just in a new paradigm of people who have wealth in a different way than what we're normally used to. Because I'm not sure if those guys are just going to take $1 million, buy the NFT, and then turn around and get fiat for it. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I mean, what's the point? You already have Ethereum, and you probably had a whole lot of it before you were KYC'd. So what are you washing? You know what I'm saying? That's the counter
100%. You're completely right. Money launderers prefer stability, always stability, right? It's usually one person giving to another, and the middle party that launders needs to make sure there's no risk. So I would say gift cards and Tether are way better for money laundering. Bitcoin is too volatile for them. There's no way a money launderer on 2 to 3% would take a chance with Bitcoin. They would use Tether or they would use gift cards.
Yeah, somebody, and it's funny. I'm gonna just put this out here because I know this is before the question answer time, because I just want us to discuss it. Somebody said, "Can we talk about NFTs?" Because I'm knee deep in Top Shots, so clearly it's moving, right? So what do y'all think about this, man? Like, I see a lot of people talking about putting. I saw Terrence Yang. He had a room talking about putting NFTs on Bitcoin. What do you all think about this whole NFT movement? What do y'all think about what's going on? Like Raul said, he made a really good point that people are able to trade these NFTs and not really go through KYC because they're actually buying art. So what do y'all think about that movement? And for the record, please hit that plus. Everybody hit the plus button at the bottom. Make sure you hit the share it out to Twitter. Get those folks in here. Let us talk about this and keep building this Genesis block. We are now at 65 people watching us live, which is one of our largest watching us live on all the streaming channels. So we are moving, y'all. This is a beautiful thing. So please go on and please go ahead and plus everything up. But let's get back to that question of, what do y'all think about the NFTs? I would love to hear everybody's idea of what they think about this new emerging cryptocurrency usage.
Man, I think that the idea of the NFT is sexy, but it's like I don't know, man. I still haven't wrapped my head around. And I guess because I'm not a huge art head, I guess if it was like maybe a famous artist already or something that came on and did some NFT art, but it's like the people in the Space Nine world, that's, you know what I mean? It's still a very young space, man. So it's just hard to determine what's going to be valuable and what's not in a few years in terms of the NFT art. And then everybody and their mom just trying to use an NFT for something. It seems like in this day and era, like it's just the trendy thing to do.
Really quick, Black Rig. I need to do this because I am overshooting the room. And what I mean by that is that some people have no clue what NFT is. And we're using this acronym. Shout out to my man Sinclair. He always messes with me, man. Quit using them acronyms. People don't know what you're talking about. So Sinclair.
Okay.
Yeah. So what an NFT, I'm gonna lay it out for everybody because people on YouTube or YouTube and all our streaming platforms are asking the same thing. So NFTs are called non-fungible tokens. And the idea behind a non-fungible token is that you can tie that token, and for me, it's something digital, and provide ownership to someone in a timestamp manner on a blockchain, right? It allows you basically to say, I own this at this point, or I'm the one that minted this or created this at this point in time, and I can prove that because I have an actual digital signature that matches the ownership. And then, of course, if you have ownership, you can then transfer that ownership to someone else who has a public and private key pair, right? Who has a digital signature as well. So that is extremely powerful because now you can pass and have a forensic audit trail of ownership of an asset across time and space, and everyone can see it. Which is, to me, the most powerful part is the ownership and the transference of ownership. That is the most powerful part. But yeah, go ahead, everyone, keep going. Hopefully I answered that question.
Can you explain that signature part after the next person talks?
I'll do it really quick. So what happens is that in the blockchain space, we entered into a realm of public-private key pairs where your secret key or your private key is the key that you use to sign transactions, and that signature allows you to match it with your public key that everyone sees. So if I sign something, or I could sign even some text, and you could tell that the fact that I was able to sign it, I can verify it against my public key. And that would let everyone know that, hey, the person who has this public key, the person that has the private key is the same as the person who has the public key that everyone can see. So it's a really good, I love it, right? That's one of my favorite things about everything I learned when I started getting into the space, was that you could have this kind of identity without even doing anything except for showing that you could sign something, and you didn't even have to give up your signature. You don't have to give up your private key. You could sign something and give it over to someone, and they would still be able to know that it's you. And that's, hopefully that answered that question. But yeah, so from that standpoint, people are now able, let me just go on to that. People are now able to mint their art onto these digital chains and mint them with their own key, and everyone can verify they're the ones that minted it, and then they can sell it, and now you are the actual owner directly from the person that minted it. So if you thought about like a Basquiat or something, and Basquiat puts up a piece of art and then he provably signed those, and he showed everyone, this is my public key, and anything signed by my private key will match up. So everybody knows that you have an authentic Basquiat digital piece of work, right? Which is really, really, really cool. Now you can transfer that around, and now people can actually have that kind of ownership that they do of their physical Basquiats, but you can have it in a digital sense.
Yeah, this is Charlene. Well, I love the idea of NFTs because I think it has the opportunity to put more money in the hands of artists, and they can protect their artwork. I mean, there's so many cases of art that's copied, or where the artist has amazing talent but someone steals it. So it just creates a long-term income stream for the artists, and they can actually have their art available and actually get the true value of their genius. So I know that, I think even last week, there were all these hip hop artists on Clubhouse that were talking about how you use NFTs to copyright songs. And it just, again, it's a decentralized way of just controlling your genius and being able to really profit from it. So I think it's great.
I agree from a music standpoint, like the exclusivity that you can create with music, like NFTs could be extremely valuable in that sense. I just struggle with like the animations and different stuff like that. Like, how can I monetize that? Like a picture of like somebody dunking a basketball. Like, would the NBA have to pay me for that, or do I just wait until somebody wants to pay me what I want to sell that for? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And so the collectible space, you know what I mean? You have billions of people on Earth. So then out of those billions of people on Earth, there's a small niche of collectors. So I think everybody that's in the collector space right now is fairly early. And, some of those I think it'll be worth sitting on some of those as more and more people obviously populate the blockchain and get hip to NFTs and things like that. But there's some things in the NFT space, such as art, I think a lot of people will probably sit on for a while.
I think there's types of assets. I think there's different types of asset categories. And, there's different things to invest in. So some people like to invest into land because they can actually grow vegetables. Some people like to have a house because they can have shelter. Some people like to buy guns so they can have protection. Some people like to buy stocks so that they don't have to actually work. So we have different types of assets. You also have an asset that's more for the feel good. Like it makes you feel good, like art. It's good for the eyes. It gives you creativity. So I think this is more of idea of which asset classes you like to invest into. Just like gold, well, Bitcoin is an upgrade to gold, and a lot of these other cryptos upgrade to stocks. I feel like NFTs is an upgrade from, paper art. Now we have digital art. It's the same type of progression. It's just a different asset class.
The one issue that I love that it solves is fraud. I love that. I love that. Right now, you go on eBay and you buy a signature of someone, or you buy a card. There is a million stories on CNBC Greed of people making knockoff this, knockoff that, etc., etc. So I do love the fact that I purchase it. I know it's 100% authentic. I love that credibility, because you buy something on eBay, your worry is always, is this even the real thing? Is this fake, etc., etc. So their issue is going to be making it simple and making it easy to access. It's always going to be the issue with the crypto space. But if it does work out, the way it solves that fraud issue, the way it solves logistics, right? If you buy a $1 million card on eBay, imagine the FedEx driver or something is in cahoots or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of points of compromise when it comes to shipping things, logistics, right? That's why I hate gold. Imagine moving $1 billion of gold. You need minimum 45 security guards. You need a big ass plane. And now we just solved the big issue, right? With Bitcoin, no guards, no planes, no nothing. And that's the kind of way I feel about NFTs. It eliminates the whole FedEx truck, insurance, scammers, bullshit part of the business. So I'm all for it. I just hope it becomes a lot more simple. Someone that's in the space, I still don't even understand how to completely work this NFT space. So they got to work on that. But I love if it does work out. I love the future for it.
Do NFTs kind of replace the patent office where you have to get patents or trademarks as it relates to the blockchain? Is that what it's kind of like?
Granny, that's my favorite thing. As you all know, I put something on the Bitcoin blockchain, I think 2014-15, because I wanted to keep that idea there and everyone have access to it, right? And I think that is cool, right? If we can get to a point where people start to register their own patents or they register their own ideas and have a timestamp that doesn't have to go through some type of, it don't have to go through some kind of gatekeeper, so to speak. I think that is amazing. I think that could be really, really, really big in the future, because now all I have to do is say, oh, you thought you came up with that? Let me go back. And we already know. Let's keep it all the way real. As African Americans, just as black folk in this world, there have been many ideas taken from us because we didn't have the opportunity or the access to be able to patent something, or we didn't, we didn't have the connect with the gatekeepers to be able to get it through a patent office, so to speak. But now you can do it yourself, right? You can take that idea, package it up, put it directly on an immutable system, and get it time stamped into a chain that is protected by a lot of hashing power. And now you have a provable timestamp of when that idea came about. And I'm not saying it's enforceable by law just yet, but I think it'll get to the point where it should be, because that's probably the best and easiest way to do it, and you don't have to go through a third party to actually get your idea timestamped. So I think that's cool, Granny.
I think I think the NFTs are actually a great. Even I don't know too much anything about them outside what I heard from here and online. I think they're great. I don't know if they'll survive on Ethereum. You hear a lot of people talk about Ethereum and the crypto kitty days and all this other stuff. So I don't know if it's going to survive on Ethereum. However, if it does find a way to come to Bitcoin, I'm pretty sure we'll find a way to actually make it work in due time. But I think the idea of an artist actually being able to profit off of their art even long after their first sale is great. Because I forgot who broke it down to me, or I was probably in this room and listening to somebody. But if I paint a painting and Lamar buys it for $100,000, then that $100,000 is mine. However, if Lamar holds it and then sells it, for 200, 250, or 300K, I'll never get any of that profit. But my name or my signature will be on the art. So I think NFTs, or if they even are NFTs, I think that whole concept is great because you have a lot of starving artists out here. But my only thing is I don't know if it'll survive on Ethereum.
So I was just gonna.
I want to ask this question, right, Lamar? Like with an app like Top Shots, they say, okay, we've got these moments, right, and they only have so many of them. Who's to say in the future they don't make more of those moments? That would
Well,
be my
yeah.
thing.
So I'm with you on that, man. So in the Top Shop situation and scenario, they probably have certain things they have with the NBA. Because if they're licensing the NBA, they're probably working it out so they make sure they're not doing something like that. But even like with trading cards and stuff, right? You might have a second edition, like the gold package or something, right? So I can see them doing that in the future. I really can. I can see them like,
Yeah.
it's the same moment, but we're gonna put some little gold on it, right? And that's just that's just the risk that you take when you're starting to talk about some of these. I mean, that's the same thing. It hasn't changed. Like the collectibles space has been the same, right? That's why I like it more so for the individual artist. Because individual artists, listen, artists is just individual artists. It's like your girl Erykah Badu said, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my, you know what I'm saying? So I think the individual artist is going to benefit more in the future. And again, you can tell which one is which, right? If let's say the artist comes back and puts another one out at another time. Now I think you'll start getting into which is the older one, which is the original, right? And you can see that, like you can provably see that. It's like this one was minted on February the 14th, and this one was minted on February the 20th. You see what I'm saying? And that also think about it, as the artist, they're the ones that own it, so that gives them an opportunity to put it out there. But it's funny because it's the same situation you have with blockchains that the people who are running it can actually print more, right? It's like they can dilute it. So you run yourself into that same situation. But think about what would happen if an artist began to print more of their own thing and made their past work less valuable. They would probably nobody would buy their NFTs. So there's a little bit of game theory going on there too, right? Like what artist would try to dilute the value of their past work? Because now their future work will be worth less. You get me?
Yeah, actually, so it's a great point, Lamar, and I think there's sort of three categories of the way I look at NFTs. One is for gaming, like video gaming. Another is for arts and entertainment, like music and art, which is what we're mostly speaking about. And then the other area is sports. And as a team owner, we see NFTs as a way to take memorabilia and turn it up like significantly. So, for example, we can take a moment where we won a trophy last year, let's say, get the video, put it into an NFT, create some historical pictures that you normally wouldn't get in the public, include them in the NFT. Maybe put it in a frame with a signed jersey and a signed cricket ball or whatever. And then it's worth a hell of a lot more. Like when I go to a Seahawks game and I see like a Russell Wilson signed football, in a case, it's auctioned for a certain amount of money. But imagine if there was a NFT tied to it that was, this moment was the Beastquake when Marshawn Lynch, carried the ball over the line, and this is the actual ball that he did it with. I mean, that takes it up to a whole new level in sports. And then when it comes to art, my goal, so I'm a big time NFT fan, and, I collect different types of NFTs. And so my goal with NFT art is to discover who the next digital Da Vinci is or digital Leonardo, because there's going to be some of those. And then there's going to be a shit ton of digital Vista prints who go out and create fake, or crappy art that's really like commoditized. Sort of like the ICO days of 2017, where very, very few companies survived. And then I also think that we have to think about what happens when regulators start looking at this space and saying, whoa, this is weird. These pieces are selling for millions of dollars in the secondary market, and some of them don't look like they're worth it. What happens then? So
hold on, Raul. I just want to stop you right there. Like, how in the world is some regulator gonna tell me something's not worth it? They probably ain't even cultured enough to tell.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Come on, man. I'm gonna look at this and be like, oh, that's not worth $1 million, and they have no clue what art is. They can't even chew gum and walk at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I do think that there's a lot of hype in the space right now, and it is, you know, a bubble in some areas. But the nice thing is it's creating a lot of interest and a lot of opportunities for, you know, artists and musicians, and it's getting, you know, sports to think differently about how they can leverage, you know, NFTs, and also for gaming. I just think there's a lot of opportunities in the space, and with that, there's going to be you know, a bit of commoditization, but then the cream will rise to the top. That's my point, right? There's going to be really great artists that will rise to the top, and a good example of that is Beeple. So if you want to know more about NFTs, just Google Beeple, Beeple, and this guy just got his art commissioned by Christie's. And not only does he create a digital piece, but he also sends out a frame, like a moving, you know, frame with it, and a really cool kind of packaging experience. So it's pretty unique. Yeah.
Yeah, so here's my question to the panel, and I know we about 15 minutes in, right? We're 15 minutes from the end, I should say, of our panel discussion. My question to the panel is, do you think that NFTs are going to do more for adoption of cryptocurrencies than anything we've seen before? Because I hear people talking about it that have no clue what Bitcoin is, what cryptocurrencies are, but their first introduction are NFTs. Like, what do you guys think about that?
If it works, yeah. I think if it continues to work, it might. It won't do nothing compared to what Bitcoin did, but you know, if it turns out to actually be, you know, successful within the time frame of what humans really have as far as an attention span, then yeah, it could serve some positive, some type of positives. But I mean, if it doesn't work, it's going to deter people just like ICOs.
No, I think it's gonna. I think it definitely will, because, you know, if you go all the way back, you know, with the founding of Bitcoin, you know, it kind of started in that same kind of ilk, that same kind of audience, right? You'll have younger people getting involved in this space because of these NFTs. You'll have these gamers. You'll have the you know, the people that are looked at as the stranger ones. You know, they're getting into this stuff. So I think it'll contribute to the normalization of, you know, just crypto. And
yeah, no, 100% agree. I think this is about bringing more mainstream people into it, more regular users into crypto, by getting them onto something that they love to do, and collecting and trading is a really interesting space. It's going to bring on a whole new type of consumer into the space. You know, and I think I don't know who just spoke before Jakumi, but he said it's not going to be like Bitcoin movement, but yeah, and that may be the case, but it's going to bring on a different type of consumers, so more mainstream users who will ultimately adopt Bitcoin. So I think it's amazing.
I think so. In this sense, a lot of people that, you know, a lot of people can wrap their mind kind of around NFTs a little bit easier. So like the barrier of entry in terms of knowledge is a lot lower. Like they don't have to necessarily understand everything to understand NFTs, because it's something that they're monetizing or using that they do already. You know, such as artists. Okay, you do music already. You just get with somebody and put that music on an NFT, and you can make a limited supply of them or whatever, what have you. So yeah, I think a lot of people could possibly be moved by that NFT space. And as Charlene pointed out earlier, absolutely artists for sure. When it comes to, you know, like the musical standpoint, man, the art, you know, I'd have to lean more towards like Raul was saying, with, you know, it being more of like a ICO phase almost with the art, because like you just never know as far as the art. But like, yeah, musically and a lot of different other aspects, I could see the NFT space touching a lot of different communities and cultures.
I was just going to add, you know, one thing that if you curate really great experiences, or if you curate something in a way that that resonates with people, it's easy to create value in something. So for example, if you were to if you're a celebrity who buys a handbag, like just a, just like a regular whatever Louis Vuitton or a Celine bag or something like that, and you tag that bag and you mint it on an NFT. You say, look, I bought this bag today and here it is on the blockchain. I own this bag. And then you carry that bag around with you and you have a tag in it that, you basically create moments. So every time the bag does something, I'm Kim Kardashian, I take this bag to Paris with me, and this bag went, here with me, and over time she creates a lot of provenance around that bag, and then she auctions it. Like, that bag is worth a hell of a lot of money, right? And that
But
the
how
same
can we
thing
make sure
could.
that bag hasn't been counterfeited?
No, but that's
Well,
what he.
so
No, he's just saying. He's saying it's the same thing, Justin. I think he's like, if Kim Kardashian buys an NFT and she has all of this provenance with it, where she's, she puts it in the Virtue Museum and all of that kind of stuff. Now all of a sudden, that NFT itself is worth a whole lot of money. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what he's saying. I don't think he's talking about her direct bag. But even her direct bag, even her direct bag will be worth some money. To be honest with you.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
I'm
it's
talking
Kim.
about her bag. I'm talking about her bag, and I'm talking about the experiences associated with that bag. Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's like a watch. If you go out and you buy like a watch that would typically hold or maybe even go down a little bit in value, but you're someone famous and you wear that watch and you mint it on the blockchain and you say, here's a picture of the watch I just bought, and you sort of track the stories as time goes on. There's just so many interesting ways to use NFTs, and I think that we'll start to see that attached to luxury goods, and luxury goods with tags, that have like a RFID in them that you can basically scan and record a moment that gets on the blockchain.
Yeah, my whole thing. Yeah, my whole thing with the physical ones is a little bit different. But we did bring Terrence. Terrence is on. Terrence Yang. He was talking about NFTs on Bitcoin the other day. Terrence, can you add something to this conversation, Doc?
Sure. So a couple things. There, they did have like CPAs that were NFTs on Bitcoin, but the problem with Bitcoin for now is the NFTs are not very popular. There's no real marketplace. But I was in a room with Craig Sellers, who's one of the creators of Tether, or the Tether creator, and he's super nice and active on Clubhouse. But he said he's figured out a way to put NFTs on Bitcoin, which is that he's working on Feathercoin, which is like a hard fork of Bitcoin, and arguably a shitcoin in my opinion. But he's using it to test putting NFTs on Feathercoin, and if that works, then we should be able to have NFTs on Bitcoin. There's also another guy, Paul Stork, who's active on Twitter. He's a little controversial because I think some Bitcoin maxis view him as a big blocker, but he has an idea for Drive Chain, which is already in a Bitcoin improvement proposal, and he says he has some support from Bitcoin core developers. The point of that is, with his Drive Chain, if it works, the code isn't done yet, but if it works, you can put NFTs on this layer 2 or on a side chain, and you can also do all the other things that all the altcoins are doing, whether it's Turing complete stuff, DNS like Handshake, and so on and so forth.
Got you. Yeah, here's one of the things I don't think a lot of people even know, but Bitcoin, you've been able to do what's called colored coins for a very long time, and you could probably use some type of colored coin situation to create these NFTs if you really wanted to. Now, it would probably be pretty expensive because of the fees that are on Bitcoin, but truthfully, if you even look at the fees on Bitcoin compared to Ethereum in that regard, right now that's not that much more expensive. I mean, what a transaction might cost you, one transaction might cost you $15-20 on Bitcoin right now to color some coins. So yeah, I mean, of course the transference of it's going to cost you about that much every single time too, but you can mint onto Bitcoin using the color coin protocol right now, with just doing it the old school way. So yeah, this has been a really good conversation, and I think we're getting down to the nitty gritty, and we have some questions already coming in. Is Miss Naja available? Is she here?
Yes, sir. Ready to go.
Yeah, so just to reset everything that's going on for everyone, welcome. Welcome to the Genesis Block Live. I am Lamar Wilson, founder of the Black Bitcoin Billionaires Room and Club. We are here today discussing things that happened last week in cryptocurrency and things that can move us forward into the future. Make sure you remember that we have our Satoshi Millionaire Challenge going on right now. The month is not over. I know we've already created and found many Satoshi Millionaires. And to become a Satoshi Millionaire, all that means is you buy 0.01 Bitcoin before the end of the month. When we started this campaign, it only cost you about $323 for you to become a Satoshi Millionaire. As of right now, it's about $530 to become a Satoshi Millionaire. So listen, you can get off the sideline whenever you want, but we just encourage you to become a Satoshi Millionaire to take part in this new money system called Bitcoin. So yeah, man, now we'll open up the floor. We're going to go ahead and everyone start raising your hands. Mods, please help us get some people up here on the stage so they can have access to our panel. And then, of course, I'll bring you all of the questions from Facebook. Without further ado, Miss Naja, I'm going to leave it to you, sister.
Absolutely. Good morning to each and every one of you. We'll go ahead and start with our Facebook questions. Let's go ahead and start with our Facebook questions.
So Facebook question.
I need to make a.
Hold on.
First of all, I need to order a new card. My card has expired.
Hold on. Okay.
I got him, Lamar. I got him.
So
I know who that was. I know that voice.
Yeah. So Miss Melissa on Facebook said, "Would NFTs negate the need for insurance?" So would NFTs negate the need for insurance?
And we have one of our moderators that will answer that. We'll be taking two chime-ins from two different moderators. So moderator number one, please go ahead.
I'm going to say no. I mean, you can lose your NFTs just like you can lose anything. So you're still going to need insurance. So that's not going to eliminate that. So I'll leave it at that.
Anybody else want to chime in?
I'm not sure insurance companies would know what to do with it, to be honest. But it's a very interesting question. It's probably a new line of business for insurance companies, which I'm sure they're dying for. So.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And first to the stage on Clubhouse, we have Seth. Seth, welcome to the stage.
Thank you for having me. I got a question. I've been seeing it more and more, and it's been a little confusing. But just what's up with the glowing eyes, and what does that mean, signify, and does that deter people from?
So this,
kind of.
Seth, I'm right with you, brother. I'm right with you.
What?
Laser eyes.
So the laser eyes are laser eyes. We're supposed to keep these laser eyes on until Bitcoin reaches 100K for one Bitcoin. So that's what it is. It's the laser eyes.
But I mean, as someone coming in and it kind of deters. I don't know if it deters people, but it just, I don't know. It looks a little crazy, man. It looks like it's more of like a cult.
So Seth, I'm gonna be moderator number one. When I first looked at it, I said it looked satanic. So there we go. So that's moderator number one. So anybody else want to chime in on that?
Seth, I'm moderator number two, and I felt the exact same way. I was like, what the world is going on here?
At the end of the day, I think it's just a whole lot of fun. I think people are having fun with it. But like I told somebody, I didn't join a fraternity, and I'm not about to put no lasers on my eyes because everybody else is doing it. So it's just how it is.
Gotcha.
All right, and that was moderator number three. But Seth, did you have any other questions?
No, that's it. I love the information that y'all give, and Lamar, once you do it, I might tag along.
Oh, bro, it's over. I'm not doing it. I'm already telling you. I was talking about it earlier today. I said I'm gonna put on a kufi until 100K. My picture's gonna, because I seen my man Zay. He added the laser eyes, but then he turned around and added the kufi to it. So I was like, all right.
I was gonna say, yeah, that might work. He's doing it. Why not?
Yeah, we could do the kufi to 100K.
I'm gonna wear my Chuck Taylors until it gets to 100,000, and we'll be good. That's it.
Good. No, I appreciate
Hey.
I was confused, but y'all cleared it up. Appreciate y'all.
Ain't no
What
thing,
was
man.
Sir, thank you,
Hey,
sir.
can you repeat
So
that question,
we'll
please?
go ahead and take another one.
Hold on
from
real
the
quick,
clubhouse
Miss
stage.
Naja.
So that
Somebody didn't hear the question. So the question literally was just why are there laser eyes on everyone that he sees? It's kind of like everybody who's down with Bitcoin is starting to change their eyes to laser eyes, and he said it was confusing him. So we just explained it was it's like a meme, right? Everybody has the laser eyes to show what's the word? Collaboration and just camaraderie.
Solidarity.
Yeah, solidarity and camaraderie. That's all
Yeah.
it is.
Hey, Lamar, if you don't mind, I was going to say, I think what I've seen it come from is there's a quote circling around by Bruce Lee that says, the successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. And so if you understand what Bitcoin does as a technology for the average man, those that buy into it are all on the same page, that they have a laser-like focus to see it through, to see what Bitcoin is trying to do through to fruition. So a lot of people have changed their memes to these laser eyes.
What he said.
Yeah,
Say that again.
bring it home. Help them understand why they followed the right thing.
Okay, so once again, there's a quote by Bruce Lee that says, the successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. And so what you're realizing is that, like, Bitcoin, in a sense, is, in a way, the money for the people, or power to the people, in a sense, because it allows them to have a network that allows them to interact and to send goods and services and value to each other without anyone interfering. So if people begin to understand what Bitcoin is and all begin to focus on the type of empowerment that Bitcoin provides, it will allow this technology to fully come to fruition. So as a unification kind of symbolism, people have put the laser eyes for like a laser-like focus on making this mission come through.
All right, DeAndre, help him out. Help him out, DeAndre. Help him get to
Good
That's
feedback.
awesome. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you.
Uh,
All right. We going to Facebook.
Yeah, here's a Facebook question. Ma, can I get a Clubhouse invite? That's the only question. It's the only question that's up here right now. Real talk. We got more people than we normally have, and that's the only question we have is, can I get a Facebook Clubhouse invite? So Adam,
I got a question for you, know, I can answer that. I can. If he wants to pay $20, they paying $20.
Oh man, you out here charging them,
now.
Rev.
They charge them.
Rev, you can't be charging the people for the invites, Rev.
I'm just kidding, bro. But on the serious note, they're charging up to $20 for a Clubhouse invite in China. Crazy. I never heard anything like it.
Yeah, that's wild.
I mean, one of us, I got some extra ones. You know, we can try to.
Wow.
I think the invite's less for the exclusivity. I think it's more for the sign off on having your name as being invited on the profile. Because I know that's a lot of people take that to heart.
This is Matt. I got 2 invites, $100.
Oh man, people out here hawking these invites. So
Cash out.
Yeah, so back to you, Miss Nasha. I think you're gonna have to roll for a minute because I don't see anybody asking questions on the Facebook side.
All right, that's wonderful. Well, we have Eric to the stage. Eric, welcome.
Thank you for bringing me up to the stage. First, I got a comment really quick. Lamar, I took the Crypto 101 training online. Bruh, just opened my mind to a whole nother world. And then I got to NFTs. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Just when I thought I was on a roll, today just took me on a whole nother level. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And Shalair, thanks for referring that. Ms. Naja, you what they say, you're a queen. That ledger thing you did this Saturday was great. So my first question is for CJ. I know you talked about the taxes. Do you have to check that box if you didn't get any profit from Bitcoin?
So it's not necessarily just about profit. It asked if you acquired any or transacted with it. So I know I use like the Fold app, and if I receive some type of Bitcoin rewards from spinning the wheel, then that is still technically a reportable event. But so if you click the box as no and you did do that, that can be considered fraud later on down the road. So I typically tell people to, say yes, because if they receive Brave rewards from an ad, if they've spun the wheel to got some Satoshis, that means they did acquire some. It doesn't mean you have to pay taxes on it. but I typically suggest people say yes, because a lot of people don't even realize that they acquired it, because they may not have bought it or they may not have received crypto wages on it. But if you've acquired it, then you would click the box as yes, and that's like their go-to for fraud, just to get inside your business. Even if they can't do it now, later on down the road, chances are they can. So I suggest clicking the box as yes.
Question, CJ. This is Matt again. If your Bitcoin goes up in value, do you also have to click that yes when you do your taxes?
So the fact that you have Bitcoin means that you've acquired it. So I would hit yes. However, if you don't sell it, if you don't buy goods or services with it, or you don't exchange it for another cryptocurrency, there's no taxable event for you to have to pay taxes. That box is just simply saying, are you dealing with any types of cryptocurrency whatsoever? And so I would say yes, even if you didn't sell or buy anything, but you don't have to report if you didn't sell, use it, or exchange it.
Or buy any more. Okay, I got you. Thank you, man.
No problem.
Can I ask a question building off of that? So if Bitcoin's untraceable, how is it, like, how do you pay taxes on it? You know what I'm saying? Not untraceable, but if it's anonymous, rather, you know, like, how would they identify that it's you owning this Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is not anonymous.
Right, it's traceable.
Bitcoin is pseudonymous, meaning we may not know individually who we're transacting with. However, if you buy like a Lamborghini with it, anytime you purchase something more than $10,000, the vendor is supposed to send that documentation to the IRS. And if they see that you bought a $100,000 car and you're reporting, $20,000 in income, then chances are that's going to increase your amount of audit. And at that moment, they have the ability to then look at the IP addresses for all your technology. So they may not have all the technology to be able to come after you. However, that's when you want to lawyer up. As a CPA, my goal is just to make sure you're in compliance with the IRS. You get to make the end decision. And I believe that, with people like Don Fort, who is heading a lot of these regulations with the IRS, that eventually they will have the technology to trace a lot of these transactions. So I would suggest to make sure that you're in compliance and not try to evade anyway. And if you do want strategies, make sure you lawyer up with somebody who can navigate you through all of those problems that may came up.
Yeah,
unless you're utilizing the
isn't,
IPFS system.
Sorry, the goal isn't tax evasion; it's more tax avoidance. So I was just curious, like, how is Bitcoin tied to me? Like, in the sense that I understand you said if I buy a certain good, right? But how about, like you said, like, you're doing trading or your Bitcoin increases in value, then you sell it. How is that value, like, that's what I'm kind of not understanding.
Yusuf,
I was about to say, CJ.
Hold on, really quick, Yusuf. Usually, most people are buying their cryptocurrency from KYC'd entities, where you have to basically give up all of your information before you even purchase it. So if you think about it from that standpoint, these KYC entities they're basically tying you to the addresses that they give you. And that allows the IRS to easily come in and just hit those singular entities and say, hey, hey, which one of these addresses are Yusuf's? And then the Yusuf send out so many Bitcoin, and that way they can begin to track you. And they can track that transaction to all of the different wallets that those coins go to. And so at that point they have you, right? So you have to understand that that's the whole reason why most of these onboarding ramps are all KYC, because it allows them to keep track of everything you're talking about. Now, if you can get coins peer-to-peer on the street, yeah, it makes it a whole lot more difficult. Matter of fact, if you can keep everything outside of that, it makes it a lot more difficult for the IRS. The problem is that somebody in your line, in your chain, is going to probably go back into one of these KYC'd entities to get, their cash out or, trade for another coin. And at that point, now they have a trail back. So when that person goes and onboards, they can say, where did you get this from? And then they say Yusuf. So guess what? They got you again. And then they take that address and then go backwards. So regardless of which way you go, they're going to probably figure out a way to kind of track you, unless you have a circle of friends that is like the heck with any of his KYC stuff, and y'all just transact amongst yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Or amongst people that you know are not going back into the system.
So basically, Bitcoin ATMs and wallets like Edge, those are considered like KYC entities.
Yeah, like Bitcoin ATMs, they're supposed to take your. They used to not be that way, but they're supposed to take your ID and everything too. And if you transact so much, they're going to report that up to FinCEN through some money laundering report, right? What is it? What's it called? It's like suspicious activity or increased activity or some kind of report like that.
Yeah, it's called a suspicious activity report.
Yep.
Yeah.
They call it SARS. You all hear people say SARS.
Yeah, so I mean, Yusuf, it's very difficult to like they can track all of this. It's on a blockchain. That's the beauty of it, and I guess it's the curse, right? It's the blessing and the curse.
You would just have to juggle it on paper wallets.
Yeah, but even if it's on, here's the thing, even if it's on paper wallets, that's what I was saying. Like, let's say all he uses is paper wallets. The moment he pays someone who goes to an exchange, now they have a singular point to go ask, hey, where did you get this from? Oh, you're not going to tell us? Oh, okay, we were going to put you in jail.
But that's the whole point of blockchain from peer-to-peer transaction. So once the payment is processed and it comes back on the other end, they don't never know where those funds come from. The numeric algorithm is just distributed into that person's wallet.
Jay, this is what I'm saying. You could have coins mined, right, directly from a miner, and you could get those coins, and you could send them to other people back and forth, right? But then as soon as you give it to, say, me, right? Let's just say me. I'm going to just use me. You give it to me, and I go into Coinbase and sell, take the coins you just gave me and sell them. And then the government comes to me and says, hey, we saw these coins come in from outside of any system we have. We don't know where this address came from. Who sent you these coins? And then they, put some pressure on me, tell me they're going to audit me and charge me $100,000 in fine. I'm going to be like, man, it's Jay, man. Jay sent me those coins. Now all of a sudden, right? Now all of a sudden they have your address. And then all they have to do is look at that address and let's back it up. Okay, Jay, where did you send these funds? You see what I'm saying? Like, there's no way to get out of it as long as you are having to interact with another human being. You see what I mean?
Can I jump in too, Lamar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and just understand from the legal perspective, it is not that difficult for me when I was a prosecutor to get a warrant, to have an officer to go, or an officer to get a warrant, to go ahead and search everything about you. They found out one piece of information. Guess what? They at the next person's house searching everything. And that gives them rights to, when I say everything, that warrant can literally cover from banks statements to bills to your entire house, and then spill over to your friend's house and then your friend's house. I mean, it can get really ridiculous as long as it's signed off by a judge and they have a reason to believe that there's some type of activity. And activity could be that you were in the wrong place. So let's be clear. This is not something, where I didn't do anything suspicious. Well, you may have been in a certain neighborhood where we know some other nefarious character been, and that's enough cause for the judge to say, okay, I'll sign off on this warrant.
And I just really
when you have a paper wallet, it's not a paper trail that's attached to it. I can literally put on a VPN.
Jay, but it's not the wallet.
As long as you
bro.
don't use it, Jay. If you don't use it, you're 100% right, Jay. But what's the use of having it if you're never going to use it?
But Jay,
let me also say this too, and this is just for the rest of the group. One of the things, absolutely you're correct about the paper wallet. But a lot of the tie-ins on Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general is going to be people's cell phones. Because your cell phone, you went into Verizon or T-Mobile or Sprint thinking you were registering for a regular phone, but as you have become in the crypto space, putting that information everywhere, it ties it back to you. They don't even need to go to the blockchain. They can do all that, but that's one of the major.
No, that's what I said, a VPN.
No, but Jay, that's there. Everybody, can I just take a time and me and Jay walk through this?
Sure.
Is that okay? So Jay, let's walk through it, bro. So
no disrespect. I was just saying there's ways to do it.
No,
you just gotta...
no, Jay. I'm trying to show you there really aren't ways to do it, because there's a forensic audit trail of every transaction. So here's my question: you got a paper wallet. How do you get the coins to the paper wallet?
You get the coins to the paper wallet from any major platform.
So that's the issue right there. So if you go into coin,
okay,
you see what I'm saying?
I know, but look, listen to what I was saying, bro. I was saying I do this all day. All you have to do is slap on the VPN. Once you slap on the VPN, you wipe your IP address. Once you pump and dump your coins, you send them to a paper wallet. From the paper wallet, you have to distribute it to a third party, like you were speaking of. Like you said, yeah, you have to have friends that's incorporated with it. But yeah, you can distribute those funds.
No, but Jay, I'm talking about before, like when you go to that platform and you use a VPN, they still gonna KYC you.
He's saying you had to use an identity in order to have access to that platform.
Yeah, how do you bind the coins?
You probably got one of those too. So let me just say this: you got to get up real early and do a whole lot of fraudulent activity to make that happen.
On Binance, you don't need an ID.
Hold on. Oh, you saying so? Okay, so you saying
before they shut it down, and then they made Binance US.
Right.
There was Binance. There was an open market for international trading.
Okay, let me stop you right there, Jay. How are you getting money? Everybody, just let me handle this real quick. Jay, how are you getting money into Binance? How are you getting the fiat into Binance to get your first crypto?
You can send $100 from any other legal wallet that you have. Like if you have Uphold, or if you have like a Kraken wallet, you can distribute. You can literally send your QR files to your Binance account.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But even those, so even Uphold, right? So Uphold has your identity because they KYC. Like every one of these steps that you're saying, at some point you've had to give up some identity, right? Now I can understand.
But that's the whole purpose of the blockchain, is to know who the other person on the other side is.
Well, look, Jay, we'll talk about this at another time just to keep the show going. But I definitely want to talk to you, brother, because I don't want you getting hemmed up into a spot thinking something about it that's not really, you know what I'm saying, not really real. You know what I mean? Because I don't want anybody else thinking that they can get away with KYCing into something and then them not being able to track you, because every single one of the transactions that happen from that initial transaction is easily trackable. And it might not be you that they're connecting that transaction to, but they definitely can put your name beside it with a question mark that will then, make you have to come up with where this money went and all of those kind of things. So it is completely trackable.
Lamar, we want to pay taxes, right?
That's another thing too. Yeah, we're not talking about evading taxes.
We want to avoid as much taxes as we can. It's tax avoidance, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Lamar, I just want to correct something that he said about VPNs. It's not true that a VPN wipes your IP address.
Right.
You still have an IP address. It may be coming from another country, but it's still an IP address. And if you're paying for your VPN service, the VPN provider has your information as well. So even if they're overseas VPN provider, they still have your address. So the only way you can avoid that, if you are paying for the VPN in some kind of anonymous way, which is pretty difficult to do these days.
Even if you're using like Proton Mail or something like that too, right? Like all of these things are trackable. Yeah, but I mean, it's all trackable to some degree, right? Lamar was making a point that I was going to make as well. At any point in time, if you interact with anybody that's KYCing on anything, not to mention, right, like maybe you linked a bank account at one point in time or something of that nature, or use a debit card, you use something, that information is there. It is out there. With the transparency aspect, you can literally go and find any wallet, anything. Now, yes, you may not necessarily be able to link it, but they only need one thing. And then from that rabbit hole, they can start piecing some things together. And the onus will be on you to either prove it or to not prove it. But there's no way at this point in time to really get around.
That's not a decentralized network. So is it decentralized or is it centralized?
There are ways, I would say.
I'm about to say both, bro, because at some point in time you came into account
Yeah, I think we just got to keep it moving. Real talk. I think Jay and I will have this conversation another time because
Oh
I
yeah, no,
think
that's
yeah, you did it good. It's all right, Jay. You all good, bro. Like I just really want to make sure that you understand. I wish I had like a whiteboard so I could show you like how they can easily track you because I'll show you how I could track you, right? And that's the thing. Like you have to be very careful unless you're mining Bitcoin yourself in your own room, right? And you're getting fresh Bitcoin directly to a wallet that no one has ever touched or seen. More than likely, there is a trail for you. Like real talk, unless you're getting untouched Coinbase Bitcoin, there's probably going to be a trail for you. So just understand that, everybody, and then Jay and I will talk some other time. But I want to keep the room rolling, Miss Naja, please.
Absolutely, absolutely. Next to the stage, we have Mr. C.
Hold,
Okay.
hold on, Miss Naja. I just asked that one quick question. I didn't know we was gonna go that deep.
Yes, sir. But I apologize, my brother. We got like about 20 people behind you. So quickly, please do that, sir.
I can move on. I just wanted to let you know I can get on again, but thanks CJ for answering the question. I appreciate it.
No problem at all.
Thank you, Eric, for understanding. Mr. C, welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much, guys. I have two questions. Hopefully they won't be too long. One, I'm not sure if CJ covered this before, but I just wanted to talk about something that was a bit of a game changer, I think, in my eyes, that I would just become aware of. So BlockFi and Celsius. So the idea of being able to gain interest from your cryptocurrency and also being able to take a loan from it so I don't ever have to sell that. Now, to me, that's an eye-opener. So I wanted to get your opinion. That's my first question. The other one was more about NFTs. So
yeah, Mr. C, I think that's a great way to avoid paying taxes. That was one of the questions that Yusuf had said. Whenever you have your Bitcoin or any type of cryptocurrency on a platform like Celsius, BlockFi, or Nexo, and you take a loan out against it, that loan is not taxable, as well as if you pay, if you have interest that you have to pay on it, the interest is a tax liable to the interest that you received. So you receive interest on these platforms, and then if you take a loan out, you have to pay interest. Those interests can offset. If you just have your money onto those platforms and you receive interest, the interest is a taxable event because you're receiving interest. It's at the more favorable rates typically, but you do have to report that. Sometimes, like if you use a Celsius, they'll give you a 1099. However, if you use like a Nexo, they're a European-based company, you may not receive a 1099. However, you are still responsible for reporting that on your taxes. And typically, if you receive more than $600, that's when IRS is triggered. So, did that answer your question, or?
Yeah, it did. I just think it's a real game changer in that whole light of, you know what? I think most people say, "Oh God." Even though it's generational, I need to make something off my Bitcoin. That seems like one of the best ways where you can eat your cake. Now, the security, I'm not 100%, but I've actually just started to use it. But that seems like a total game changer for me.
Mr. C, quick question though. Would you really like to risk it all for an extra 6%?
So Lamar, that's a good point. So I personally wouldn't put in all my coin or Bitcoins or any other coins into one of those platforms. However, I would look into putting a proportion into those. Yeah. Now you could say the same thing if you're going to put in any platform other than a hardware wallet. So you could argue you've got a hardware wallet, your Bitcoin is just sitting there until you liquidate it or take it out. It's just sitting there gathering revenue or whatever, but it's not doing anything. For the average person, that's not always going to work. Let's be serious about it. Most people are going to say, right, how can I actually benefit from this? Apart from my kids, yeah, but my kids are going to have to liquidate it at some point.
No, yeah, so but that's the thing. Like, just real quick, I'm saying there's other options, and I just want to make sure people understand what we're talking about really quick. He's talking about taking your Bitcoin, because I know we the Genesis block. There's not a lot of people who are necessarily into what we're talking about, right? So there is a way that you can take your Bitcoin, use it as collateral, and gain interest on your Bitcoin. A lot of times it requires you to over collateralize, so you put up maybe 12 bitcoins and get 6 bitcoins worth of money back, or fiat dollars back. That in and of itself is can get kind of hairy, because you have to turn over your coins to an individual or a company to have it. And like Mr. C said, he wouldn't put all of them there, but it's just crazy to me that people are thinking about this asset that has performed about 200% a year, and we want to get an additional 6% on the 200% and risk this company losing all of our coins. Like, it's like, why not just hold on to
There's
them?
no free money, man.
Yeah, there's no free money. So why not just hold on to this asset that has been performing so well and not try to get an additional 6% on it? You know what I'm saying? Like, just hold the asset itself.
So Lamar, I agree with you 100%. 100% agree with you. But let me throw something out there. And the reason why I'm throwing it out there is to make people think as well of what we're talking about. The scenario here is, I might not need the money that I'm using, but however, I want to buy a house, I want to buy a car. And going back to CJ's comment of, you can take a loan out against that Bitcoin. So rather than me sell my Bitcoin to release that capital, right, I might want to take a proportion, put it in there, and then actually loan against it. So I'm not disagreeing with you, Lamar, but I'm presenting that as a classic example of what a lot of people are going to experience.
Yeah, I think that's true. I just think that right now, I just want to warn everyone that we're very early in that environment, and that the risk of it is really you losing your coins, and not having any way to get them back, because it's not like these companies are backed by the Fed Reserve. Now, when banks get involved in it, right, and they start having more favorable types of contracts that say, okay, this is an asset and we'll let you borrow against this asset, and we don't necessarily have to turn the keys over to our coins, then I think that definitely is a viable option, because that's what happens with assets, right? Banks figure out ways to lend you money, lend you money against them or whatever, so that they can make their money on it, make their interest on it. So I think we'll see that definitely in the future. I just think right now the current offerings that are out there are a little bit shaky, to be honest.
Yeah, agreed. And they're very, very new as well. So the second question I had, this one is more of an experience. So guys, I basically recently minted my first NFT. It wasn't too difficult. I went through the process. I had an image that I'd created. It was a Bitcoin dog with different cryptos on it. What I found the most annoying thing about it, though, was the gas fees. So something that I did really quickly, and then the gas fees was something like $40. That kind of put me off, but obviously being a technology person, I wanted to basically go through the process to see how easy it is. And so my experience is, fairly easy to do. I've got my first mintable asset out there, but what do you guys think of these ridiculous gas fees, and how do we, counteract that going forward? What's your view?
No, I think that's the big issue, and that's why we were saying earlier that I can see NFTs moving away from Ethereum pretty fast. Like right now, it's something that a lot of people are using Ethereum for, but I can see NFTs moving to other technologies pretty darn fast, just because of that, because somebody's going to solve that and make it so easy that it's going to be a no-brainer just to do it there, because you're still getting the same value, right?
Cool. So thank you very much, guys. I hope that was really quick, but I just brought it to the attention so we could discuss those two pretty quickly. So I've finished now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. C.
All right. Thank you, Mr. C. And Lamar, do we have anybody on Facebook? And while you're checking,
I have Yes, ma'am. I have a very big question. It's like, hi, new to this, and I've been in and out of your rooms this past weekend. Gosh, you guys are amazing. So, simple question. I like that. Here, it's a huge paragraph. I wanted to get into ETH as well, but I'm not going to read that. I signed up with Coinbase before I did my research. I also have Cash App for BTC. I'm unapologetically blackety black, so I've got to stop using Coinbase. ETH purchased will chill there, but any suggestions on good warm wallet? Thanks in advance. So that's one I know Miss Naja gonna eat up all day. Miss Naja, can you give her a good wallet to use for potentially ETH?
First of all, sister, I'm blackity black too. so we definitely and so I use Edge Wallet for its functionality, and also they support our community. So I use the Edge wallet. If I don't know if you're on Clubhouse, maybe they are. You can I can send you a link for Edge wallet so that you can get started with Edge wallet. But if you text me, I can send that information to you.
Yeah, that was the question. And I have another one here. I'll just ask it right now because we hadn't had one. So, how do you know how to find all of your transactions? So, I think somebody is asking, how can they find all of their transactions? What if you are on all the exchanges? Because I want to pay my taxes. So, what you do is, because most of the time the exchanges themselves are going to give you your information of what you did on the exchange from a trade perspective, because they're also going to turn it over to the government. What you really have to do is watch all the transactions that are outside of those exchanges. Those are the ones you want to make sure you keep track of, because those exchanges that you're trading on, they should give you that information.
Yeah, and then when you also pay your taxes, most of the time, if you're on exchange, you can export the individual transactions themselves. Sometimes that can create an issue because if you have like a Binance or you have like out of country type of exchange, they may have different formattings. But that's the easiest way from a CPA perspective, is to export all the transactions, because the 1099s will not always be accurate and they will never be in your best interest. So if you use the 1099 information, that makes sure that you're compliant. But if you're dealing with large amounts of money, chances are you're paying taxes unnecessarily, because they don't know what wallet you're sending your money to. Therefore, they'll just call it a taxable event. So that's where you want to do due diligence and really hire a CPA, or keep an ongoing ledger for all your transactions that you ever created.
Thank you for that, gentlemen.
Guys, before you move on from that one, just a thing that I'm having a bit of an issue with, not a big one, but have you guys heard of Revolut? So Revolut is kind of like it's like a banking app, but it allows you to buy crypto, but you don't own the crypto. Now, what I've noticed is they don't really give you any kind of report. So how do we then report a taxable kind of transactions with this kind of system where you don't actually own the crypto?
Yeah, you still got to keep track, because there has to be some kind of transaction order list or something in your application that you can see all your past orders, right? So then you're just gonna have to get those yourself and mark them down, and mark to market what the value was when you sold them, when you sold or traded them. It's just a longer process for those entities that don't provide you with that report.
Correct. With freedom comes more responsibility, so that ongoing ledger becomes really your lifeline for all your cryptocurrency transactions, as well as it helps out with different strategies. And if you ever get audited or questioned, you can always present that. Because remember, if you just have 0.1 Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes to $1 million, now you're worth 100,000 in terms of USD. So the higher up that you have in money, the more of an audit target you become. So if you become a Bitcoin billionaire, the chance of being an audit is almost guaranteed, because the more and more money you make, the government's going to continue to audit you. So it's not a matter of how do you avoid audit. It becomes how do you prepare for the audit. And by having that ongoing ledger, that's your way of saying, look, I've done my due diligence, and in good faith, I've reported everything. And at that point, that takes you away from the evasion or the fraud type of stipulations. And then it might just become, oh, well, you owe us an extra 2,000. You pay him and you say, hey, I'm still a Bitcoin billionaire.
Yeah, makes full sense.
All right, thank you for that. And really quickly, we're going to move on to Marquise. Welcome to the stage, Marquise.
Thanks, Naja. I appreciate you,
Marquez.
as always.
Marquez, right? Okay, Marquez.
Marquez Dixon, yes.
Okay.
So the question I have two. So it's actually for CJ. So our Bitcoin LLC.
You may have to repeat that. Maybe it's just me, but you're cutting out.
Sorry. If we're holding our Bitcoin in a self-directed IRA LLC, and we're planning on holding it for a long term, you just mentioned that it's important to keep track of your Bitcoin on a personal ledger. Would setting up and building a node be a way to keep track of that, or is there another way to be able to do it?
I'm sure there are ways to automate it. However, I'm not familiar with all the technologies. So everything that I do is manual and on Excel. So I'll go to all the different exchanges, export all the transactions, put them into my ledger, which it can be very time consuming and very manual. But if you are not buying and you're not doing all these different transactions through a self-directed IRA, your IRA should be able to keep track of all those transactions. It should be pretty simple. If that answers your question at all.
Marquez, I think you're conflating two different things. So there is running a full node, right? And then there's keeping track of your transactions, right? So the full node is for, if you want to be totally self-sovereign and have your personal connection to the Bitcoin network. But you can totally track all your stuff in your IRA without having to run a full node, right? So, and like CJ just said, usually the company that has your IRA, they give you'll be able to see all the transactions in there. But I'm assuming if it's a self-directed, right, IRA, you're not doing right now, all is happening is money's going in, nothing's coming out, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, money's going in and nothing's coming out. But say, for example, you move it to two different wallets, or you're trying to, create a more secure space. So you want to move it to different wallets so that it's there, but you're still holding it for the long term, say 30 years. I just heard that CJ was mentioning that if you're making some sort of transaction, because the IRS doesn't really understand the space, they potentially could audit you and think that it's a taxable event.
Correct. I got you. Okay. So
that's exactly why. Yeah, that's exactly why you keep that ledger. So if you move it from your IRA to two different personal accounts, the IRA company, whoever provides your 1099s, they may look at that as a taxable event, even though that was still going to your self wallet. So when you get your 1099, it may show up as a taxable event. When they send it to the IRS, it may show up as a taxable event. And if you don't report that on your taxes, then that could flag you for an audit. However, once you get audited, if you show them, hey, this is going to a self-custody wallet, then they back off because in good faith, you've shown everything, you have your documentation, and they'll back off because legally you've done the right thing. But that's also why we want to keep good documentation. I'm glad you have it in an LLC. What I typically tell people is separate your long-term investments, meaning you're keeping it over a year, into a different LLC for your trading or your short-term investments, because trading rules and long investing rules are very different. And because it's a new space, the IRS, there's lots of gray areas. So it becomes, well, how good is your attorney? But the easiest way to avoid all of that drama is to separate your long-term versus your short-term and keep that separate from your personal, and keep an ongoing ledger for all three of those entities, the long-term LLC, the short-term LLC, and your personal. Keep all of those ledgers different. And it's okay to move your wallet, money from one wallet to another. Just make sure everything is organized. And I actually am coming out with the second class for my how to file your cryptocurrency taxes. I'll be doing that this week. So next week it should be released, and I'll be giving you guys different strategies on how to organize this and different strategies to report to the IRS.
Only on usunjoin.com. Sunjoin University. Brought to you by Sunjoin University.
Is could they be confused if they go from one wallet? As long as you don't go into another currency, if you don't go from Bitcoin to dollars, or from Bitcoin to any other currency, but you are moving between wallets, that's not a taxable event. And like CJ just said, as long as you have your records, right? Because you may use a different wallet, from a different vendor, right? You may move some, but as long as you're recording what's going on, and if they do have questions, you can show, oh, I'm just taking Bitcoin from one wallet that I own to another wallet that I own, which is not taxable. So as long as you keep your records, you should be okay.
Correct.
Thank you for that. We appreciate all of you for your input on that. And Marquez,
it answered the question very much so. So I really appreciate that, Naja. And I have one more question, and this is, slightly related. But I was wondering if you guys knew of anything going on with Vernon J and his equity coin. I guess he's trying to tokenize real estate investment and the real estate investment of affordable housing. It's an all-black team, and I wanted to know if that was anything related to NFTs and creating an ability to sort of transact instantly on real estate transactions.
Yeah, I think that tokenization is just basically like securitizing, like creating securities. And whatever they do with that is is cool. I believe when people start trying to get into that, but I don't think that it's always necessarily. I don't know. I think it's fine, right? I think if they're gonna do that and they go through all their right, the right legalities and everything like that, I think putting securities on the blockchain goes back to the whole proof of ownership, which I think is a huge benefit or feature of blockchains, or the way you can use blockchains. So I can see that really working. I don't think it's any different than like securitizing a company and putting those on. I think a lot of people will start doing that in the future as well. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
If you don't mind, I'd like to chime in and just give a story, man. I think that NFTs, with them being, like we said, non-fungible tokens and basically a digital version of a certificate that is very hard to duplicate or copy, there are going to be some really good use cases for those things in real estate. I'll give you a short story. I currently live in Charleston, South Carolina. And if you're aware of Charleston, there's a few areas that typically were designated as, areas for Black people to live when we first got land, simply because it was too hard to farm. As they call Charleston, it's the low country, so it's mostly swamp. So it's very few things that you can farm on this land. So this land was what is now West Ashley, Killwall Island, Mount Pleasant, which all now, if you come down to Charleston, you realize all this is now beachfront property. Okay, and so you might.
I just wanted to chime in real quick. Was that DeAndre from Charleston?
Yes.
I'm from Charleston as well. This is Matt.
Oh yeah, man. All right.
I'm from New Jersey, but I live in the Charleston area now.
Got you. So we can connect, man. And you probably understand this story.
Yeah, we definitely need to link up.
Yeah,
just
one
send me
day.
a follow. I'm gonna follow you real quick. All right.
Okay, we'll do. And I'm gonna finish the story quickly. One day in the early, I believe it was like 1920s, there was a fire in the Charleston County Courthouse, and all of the deeds to this Black-owned property miraculously caught on fire. All right, and in the coming days and years, there were basically white settlers and farmers that would come and pretty much terrorize these Black farmers to give up their land. It was basically give up your life or give up your land. Because at this point the deeds are gone. You have no proof to show that this property is your family's property. So we are in new times, and things like that may not happen as often, but there's still a use case in a sense, right? Where if you have these paper ledgers or paper records of people's properties, and things happen, like, I don't know, say in Texas, the waters burst in the courthouse where all these deeds are being kept and computer systems got crashed or what have you, right? You now have to depend on these individuals to sift through all that damage and basically set things right. So, when it comes down to things like blockchains, they can solve certain issues like that if they're being used in that manner. But I think that it's more so about how the technology is going to be leveraged and how people are going to find use cases for NFTs when it comes to real estate. But just recognize that there's not going to just be one solution when it comes to NFTs. There's going to be a bunch of products and services that are going to be able to be built on top of this technology.
All right. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And thank you. And we're going to go back to Lamar on Facebook or YouTube.
I'm over here feeding my face. I'm sorry. So if I bought a Tesla with my mined Bitcoin, and I get why she's asking this, with my mined Bitcoin, because they now accept Bitcoin, what is my tax implications?
So first, when you mine it, that is considered income. So you want to report that as basically wages on a 1099, which should flow through like a Schedule C, so that you can write off your mining rigs and your energy and stuff like that. Essentially, you are a self-employed business when you mine, so that's considered business income. Then when you buy the Tesla, you're going to have to pay a capital gains tax on the increase in price. So let's say you earned one Bitcoin when it was at 20,000, and then you bought the Tesla when it was at 50,000. You have to pay income taxes on the 20,000, and then you have to pay a capital gains tax on the 30,000. That's just the way
CJ,
it goes right now.
but CJ, how do they know which Bitcoin you earned?
Great question. So that's where your ledger comes in. That's where the different strategies come in, because as of right now, you don't have to report to the IRS which strategy you use. So essentially, let's say if you were mining Bitcoin when it was at 80,000, you had received, and you bought the Lamborghini or the Tesla when it was at 50,000, you can take a loss on 30,000 when you bought it. So you have the choice to be able to determine which Bitcoin you bought or which cryptocurrency you bought at that any given moment. And there's different strategies. You have LIFO, which is the last in, first out. You have FIFO, which is the first ones that you bought. You have HIFO, which is the highest value that goes out, or you have specific identification. Specific identification is the best way to do it to make sure that you can avoid all taxes possible. However, doing it is very manual, tedious, and if we're not talking at least $10,000 to $20,000 in a year, it may not be in your best interest. But if you are a trader and you're dealing with large amounts of money, or you're buying a Tesla, cash, or with Bitcoin, then chances are specific identification is the route you want to go. Otherwise, you can probably just use a FIFO, LIFO, or HIFO to make it easier on yourself.
CJ, but I think the important thing was like she said it's mine Bitcoin, right? So the IRS does not know that you have this Bitcoin, right? There's no way for them to know that you have this, right? Are you saying that she's going to be double taxed? She has to report it as income and report it as capital gains? That doesn't sound.
Because
Yes.
look, the IRS wants you to tell everything. They want if you got a wallet that you've had since Bitcoin was birthed, they want to know about it.
No,
So
I know they want to
she-
know, but that's not my question. I know what they want. What I'm saying is that if she is mining, she is some kind of miner. These are virgin Bitcoin.
Yeah, she's old school.
Nobody knows that she has them, right? Yes, you should report it as income, like CJ said. But what I was asking about, then does she? Because he also said if she uses it to buy a Tesla, that she has to report capital gains, and that doesn't sound right to me because she earned it as income.
Yes. So look, right, when you buy the Tesla, since that transaction was over $10,000 USD, whoever sold them that Tesla has to then report that to the IRS. And then if the IRS is saying, well, where did you get, the money for this Tesla, and you don't report that mining income, then that is when they can send a field agent to your house, because they may assume you're.
No, I'm not saying that she's not
No,
reporting.
he's yeah.
I'm saying that she have to. You said that she has to also pay capital gains on that on the Bitcoin that she got as income, and I'm saying that doesn't sound exactly right.
Yes, but you can choose which Bitcoin or which cryptocurrency of when you bought it. So if you're buying it every
She
single
didn't buy it. She didn't. That's my point. She didn't buy it.
Yeah, that's what. Hey, look, let me ask you a question. I'm gonna give you a scenario, right? Let's say if I'm a United States citizen, right, and I got all these people that I'm connected with worldwide, and I know a guy in Saudi Arabia who sells Lambos and Teslas, and I have a wallet that's full of mined Bitcoin, and I just send my Bitcoin from that wallet directly to him, right? That's a will be like a Wild Wild West transaction, but let's just say I do that, and then he sends me a Lamborghini through this international shipping company, and a Lamborghini comes to my house, or a Tesla, or whatever the case may be. How is that traceable?
Because you got to register the Lamborghini.
So here's the thing. I think what we're talking about here is getting paid in property or in a commodity versus getting paid in fiat, right? And so what CJ I think is saying essentially is the first part is the income came in, and it actually was a let's say if you got paid in a stock, right? When you get paid in that stock and then you sell the stock, there is still capital gains because your cost basis or the basis of which you got it, there's still a record of that, right? Is that right, CJ? Like if somebody paid me in stock, it's the same way, right?
That's true.
So when you mine and you're earning cryptocurrency, that's still considered income. I think what he's saying is, how would the government know about it? They may not know about it.
No,
However,
I think he's saying that if you earn it, then you have to trade what you earned. Like, explain that. Like, if you got paid in stock, let's just make it stock. If I got paid in Apple stock, right? And at that point, one share of Apple was $500. Say I did some freelance work, and somebody said, "Well, look, I don't have $500, but I'll give you this Apple stock." And then I turn around. Now I have the Apple stock, at 500 as a cost basis. Then when I turn around and I sell the Apple stock at 2,000, do I have to pay taxes on the difference between when I got the Apple stock at 500? Because really, you still traded for it, right? You still traded for it. You just traded labor for it. You didn't trade money for it. You traded labor for it, right? So
yeah, but whenever you trade labor for it, that's a taxable event.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
If you receive the stock, that's considered income. Because it's a stock, you'll probably get like a 1099 or a W-2 that represents that stock that you received. With crypto mining, you won't receive that, but you're still having to report it. And then if you trade the stock for something else, if you trade it, if you sell it, whenever you release possession of that stock, then that triggers a capital gains tax as well, because it either appreciated or depreciated in value. So yes, you are double taxed on property, especially if you receive that wage.
I just want to go back to one thing that you said, CJ, that I think I thought it was Albert's voice, but I don't see him on here. Oh, it was Albert's voice. Yeah. So he was saying that, when you're mining and you're paying income tax on that mining, that part's understandable. But why would you pay income tax and then a capital gain? That doesn't make sense. If you're buying a Tesla with mined Bitcoin, you pay the income tax on that mined Bitcoin when you cash it in for a Tesla. But there's no capital gain after that. That's right. That's your tax.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes,
there is, because cryptocurrency is considered property, so it has an appreciating value. If you earned land or you earned a property, you pay income taxes on that. But then when you sell it or you transact with it, then it becomes a capital gain as well. There are ways to legally avoid a lot of this stuff. However, that's the way that is done because it's treated as property.
Okay, let me try this differently. So today I'm going to buy Tesla. Let's say I'm going to spend $50,000 on that car, right? Approximately. And I take my mined Bitcoin, I take $50,000 worth of mined Bitcoin, and I buy that Tesla, and I pay income tax on that $50,000. Where's the capital?
There is none. The day that you received it, say if you received it at 49,000, and then you spent it when it was at 50,000, there's still a $1,000 capital gain, because unless it was done instantaneously from the time that you mined it versus the time that you bought the Tesla with it, there is going to be a difference in price, and that difference has to be reportable. It can be a capital loss, it could be a capital gain, but because it's treated as property, we have to look at the cost basis, which is the time that you acquired it, versus the fair market value of when you transacted with it. And you can look at a lot of this stuff on irs.gov. You can search cryptocurrency, frequently asked questions, and I believe it's one of the last 4 on there, and they can go through all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So now y'all know, y'all buy y'all Tesla on the dip.
Right.
This is like the opposite of what cryptocurrency is supposed to be.
Well, you know what? No, because as things happen like this, we come up with solutions, right? So we have Bitcoin Buys R Us, which is why I was saying before to each and every person, when we hear the news, like Tesla said that they are just now accepting Bitcoin, that is absolutely not the truth. It's safe for them to now say that they accept Bitcoin, but they've been accepting Bitcoin for quite a while. I live right here in Southern California, and we've had a couple clients come through and take care of that. But Bitcoin Buys R Us actually solves that problem. So we broker those deals in between the car dealers so that we can help you eliminate some of that headache. But with that said, let's go to the next person. Are we going on?
It's on Clubhouse because I just hit the Facebook.
Yes, sir. Damar, welcome to the call.
Hey, how y'all doing? So some of my questions that I had earlier, I think have been answered. It was basically with the NFT, basically being on Ethereum, does that basically give Ethereum more life? But I think Lamar mentioned that because of like the gas prices, it's not going to take too long for them to eventually move to Bitcoin, and I think Bitcoin can do the same thing because it got smart contracts. So if that's just a yes on that, I'll go to my other questions.
Yes.
Okay. So, all right. So yeah. So my next question is about the tax thing, right? So this tax stuff, I'm just trying to, I don't want those problems. So like, what is like, where should I go first? I don't want to like go to a machine. I want to go to like a person, but also, I mean, if I could go through a machine first before I give it to a person to save money because they need to get organized or something, I'll do that too. Because I'm not trying to like lose all my money sitting with an accountant just to end up paying some more money to the IRS afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I
So
mean?
on u.sunjoined, I have the first part of how to file your taxes. Soon I'll be doing a second one. This is a way so that you can learn how to organize your own spreadsheet, your own ledger of all your transactions, so that it becomes a lot more easy for you to do it yourself. I think with that, if you still are it's still too complicated or too much work, then you want to hire somebody who specializes in cryptocurrency taxes. However, I think that's a great way to we're all talking about self-sovereignty, then that's a great way to do it. With more freedom comes more responsibility. But that class really is going to show you exactly how to do your taxes on your own, at least the cryptocurrency piece to it and how it interacts with the rest of your taxes. If you give that to a good accountant, or if you are familiar with taxes, that should help you to be able to do it on your own. As well as if you do give it to somebody else, it should give you enough knowledge to be able to double check their work to make sure that they've done it correctly as well.
Okay. And then my last thing is just like a side note, because I know before we started this question segment, you brought up Satoshi millionaires. Someone just sent me like 58 cents worth of Satoshis. So basically like one Satoshi. And in the summary, it said for Satoshi millionaire. But I don't know.
Yes.
So
Okay,
go ahead, Lamar.
No, Ms. Naja, I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
No, go. We were just going to explain. Go ahead and explain.
So here's the thing, right? So we are passing out everyone their first Bitcoin. Even if everybody's talking about some 58 cent. If y'all don't quit looking at that as 58 cent, look at it as 1,000 Satoshis, because that's the whole point of the Satoshi Millionaire Challenge, is that we believe in the future Satoshis may be worth $1, right? And so that 58 cent is really $1,000. And that's how we want everyone to start looking at it. So everybody keeps saying, man, somebody sent me a 50 cent. I don't know why they sent me a 50 cent, but that's also to show that you can buy 50 cents worth of these of Bitcoin. Like, that's also to be like, look, you got 50 cent directly to your wallet right now of Bitcoin. And we're doing that to get people interested and get them to know that they can do it, because we are trying to hit over 100,000 people. So you just start doing some of that math and you tell me what we trying to get out there, right?
Okay, because I didn't know that was.
Yes, DeMar, that's it. And we had a couple people that actually refused the 58 cent because they thought it was a joke. But they're so used to us giving $10 and $5 away, they thought that's what this was going to be.
How in the world are we going to get? Okay, I just want everybody to, hold on, before we move forward real quick, I just want everybody listening to me under the sound of my voice. How in the world do you think little old me, Miss Naj, and them, we going to give away $10 million worth of Bitcoin to y'all? Like,
you got Bitcoin in 2014.
Let's just be all the way real, okay? We are not good. So basically, whoever just said that, you basically saying, let me just take food out of your generation's mouths. That's what you saying?
Oh no, man, this is Dre, man. I was just being funny.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to be clear and and clarify that, because the truth is, we just
58 cents.
Yeah, we trying to just get it into the hands of as many people. Some people don't have anything, and I think that's the thing we have to understand about value. Like, people are looking at what the value is of it, or the price of it now, and not understanding the value that they potentially have. And the idea is to get this into the hands of as many people as possible, so that when it does start to reach the value that we think that it has, that you will be benefiting and your family will too. And it's not, and that's the other thing. We're just getting you started. The whole idea is to get you knowing that, number one, you can get a small amount at a time and start to DCA, or dollar cost average in, so that you can become a Satoshi millionaire. Now, anybody who doesn't want theirs, please send me an email. I mean, not even an email. Please send me send me an email to info@blackbitcoinbillionaire.com, and we'll make sure we don't put you on the list for any more giveaways. Like, real talk.
Yeah, but also, you know, the best way to think about it is 12 years ago, if somebody gave you one Bitcoin, you'd be in the same boat. You'd be thinking the same thing. What the hell am I going to do with this one Bitcoin? Like, nothing. So 12 years from now, you could be looking back at this day and saying, "Oh shit, what the hell? What the hell was I thinking?"
Okay.
That's facts.
All right. I think I misread the units. I thought it said 1 Satoshi. I didn't know it said 1,000 Satoshis.
Yeah.
I probably misread the units.
And it's okay, Demar. We're all learning, so that's what this is about. So don't worry about it.
And my last thing, like within like that same subject, is that I also signed up for the ambassador thing, and I was chatting with you, Lamar, through Instagram. I sent my list to the email you told me to send it to, of people, and I sent their names and their cash apps. That's the correct way to send the email, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that when I talked to you, did you send it the way that I asked you about putting your cash tag and all of that stuff in the subject?
Yeah. I put the subject line, you know, Bitcoin billionaire, just how it says on the internet with my name.
No. That's what I'm saying. The people who made it into ambassador, I think you came in later, right?
Yeah.
And I said that we might have some extra ones. We didn't have any extra ones. Matter of fact, when I got down to the end, I had to start giving people just 2 or 3 to pass out, right? But what I said is that now there's a lot of people who want to be ambassadors, and they want to get involved in it. And I might have to, you know, recruit more from the secondary list. So the way it happened was I put the email out for everyone, and people that came late just didn't get in the room. And that was by design, because I really wanted to make sure we had the people that were really real about it and wanted to actually move these coins to people. So all of that was by design. So if you came late, if you didn't answer the email, that's the kind of stuff we got to make sure people are, all, all in on what it is we're trying to do, because we are very serious about reaching our goal. But we will get to a point where we don't have probably enough ambassadors to actually get it out to the people that we are trying to get it out to. So everyone who is in that secondary queue, I may be hitting you all up soon. Just know though that if I put out a meeting and you can't make it, you might not make it in, just because, again, it's for those people that are going to be serious about it, because we're serious about getting this out to the people.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you I think you hit me up on Instagram. I know I was late the first time, and you said that you was gonna see if you have any availability in case people don't respond to the emails.
Yep.
So I'm really talking about after that was done, the message we had in Instagram after that, and then I did put my my name, my Cash App name in the subject line, how it says on the BBB website.
See, that's what I said. The way I'm talking about is not about what's on the BBB website. But look, let's talk about this as well offline, because again, everyone, the BBB ambassador program was to help us get it out. So a lot of people are getting Satoshis in their wallet and saying, "Hey, I got these Satoshis from somebody and I don't even know who they are." And I'm like, that's the whole point. Like, I can't send Satoshis to every single person. We were able to get probably over 2,000 people within a day some Satoshis. So we're gonna ramp that up here really soon to get to 10,000 and 30,000 people. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that, and make sure that you don't feel like that you're getting left out or anything like that. Like, there's no getting left out. It's just we got to work with who we got. And that's how it is. So if you come late, if you don't get in it, everybody knows I like to work with whoever I can work with, but we do have to put some boundaries to make sure I'm not getting emails randomly all the time saying, Lamar, I wish I could be in the ambassador program. So just be on the lookout for emails, because it's only right now, there's literally only one little old me. And so please be patient with me, please. I wish I could hug all y'all so y'all understand that I'm serious, but please, nobody come on this stage and shake me down anymore. I'm just going to say that. Jamar, you not doing that. Me and you going to talk on Instagram. But please, don't nobody come on stage, shake me down or any other moderators. Please, just give us a chance, okay? Be patient. And then a whole lot of y'all signed up to get some Satoshis, and people are rejecting them. So y'all basically wasted our ambassadors' time. Like, there are people out there that will understand the value and keep the value. So please, if you're going to waste the ambassador's time, don't sign up. But everybody else who understands what it is we're trying to do by getting Bitcoin into your hands, please sign up. Sign your families up. Anybody who's going to value it for what it's worth, please do that. But anybody else who thinks that, oh, it is just not enough Satoshis, yeah, please don't sign up, because you're just going to waste people's time, and we trying to reach 100,000 people. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lamar. Thank you, DeMar, for those questions. And Lamar, we're going to go ahead to Facebook with you.
Okay.
I have a question. This is Shalea when we get a break.
Okay. Hold on one second. Let's see. Facebook. Where do I get involved with Satoshi? Satoshi's number, only Ani, is 654, and I'm just kidding. The way you do it is you go to blackbitcoinbillionaire.com. And once you sign up for the site, you come back and you hit the Satoshi Millionaire page. On that Satoshi Millionaire page, you can put in your Cash App tag and fill out the form at the top. There's also an ambassador page at the bottom, because right now we're on our backup ambassadors. So you can still fill that out so we can get to you, and we'll have a meeting or something if I'm in need of some people. We are rolling this campaign out fast but slow at the same time to make sure that people actually get it. I just want to be all the way real. I just want to give a shout out to the initial ambassadors, because y'all killed. Everybody got their coins out to who they were supposed to get them out to the point where people were confused. But that's good. That's fine. That just means you did what you were supposed to do. So shout out to all of the ambassadors that actually made it to the meeting and made it in. I appreciate you guys. I will be trying to get out the rest of the coins to you guys today as I move forward. But thank you again. Wish I could give y'all big hugs too for actually doing the work. And then DeMar, make sure you hit me again on Instagram. Me and you gonna talk individually. I got a list for you, bro. And everybody else, man. And matter of fact, I'm just looking at it, Miss Naja. We done went over our time on Facebook. So everybody out in Facebook and YouTube land, we try to keep this show to about 2 hours. And I just want to say thank you guys for joining us today. It's been a different kind of show a little bit, but it's been good. So let's go on, close it up. My name is Lamar Wilson. This is the Black Bitcoin Billionaires Club. We are so happy to have you here for the Genesis Block. Make sure you check us out next week on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll be doing this all over again, having a good time, answering your great questions so you can learn, man. It's just been amazing. Shout out to Fred Brandon, who holds it down on every platform at the same time. I'm going to start calling him the Octopus or Spider-Man. Thank you very much, Fred. I appreciate what you do too, brother. But yeah. Live, and as I always say, live, love, love life. If you live love, you will love your life. And so until next week, see y'all.